Okay, so thank you all for joining us today. We're going to start a Ephesus Connect Evaluate session. Today we'll be focusing on how to manage the building vapor permeability. So this is basically we'll be discussing about VCL, vapor control layers. In this case, on Rainscreen Cladding Facade application. So those who are here the first time, just to let you know, we've been doing this on a daily basis, all the sessions, full schedule, including all the meeting links. It's available on our website. Today also I'll be joined by Enrique. Thank you, Enrique, for joining me in this session.
Hi, everyone.
So here, ventilated facades, Rainscreen Cladding. Just to give you a quite simple overview, this the type of application. You see here, beautifully done projects. Uh, Again, if it's not done correctly, the correct way, or apply the correct materials that work in conjunction with when you're talking about ventilated facades, is a mix of materials that being applied. You have the cladding, you have the bracket itself, the insulation, the conjunction of all membranes applied, and this all should work together in the main goal, which is the robustness of the facade, the energy efficiency of the whole construction itself. So here is just so you guys have an idea how we decided to split. We call it the standard market approach, which is basically it has only one way. It's pretty much standard rolls, standard membranes, and delivery just to the customer. So the factory produce, you have the client order, and then the customer receive. Of course, this service is followed by a customer service, a follow-up of the content of the materials and the product itself. But at Ephesus, we do something differently. We call the Ephesus Methodology, which is something more straightforward to the client in a way that we anticipate their needs. We're part of in a very early stage in the project, understanding all the client needs, requirements, specific requirements of the project. What we do as part of our consulting department is to study all the details. So usually the customer send us a couple of drawings, CAD drawings, standard drawings for their application, and we look for the in detail to see which product, which thing we can add value or brought value to the customer. And again, this is not just a one way. This is interactive dialogue. So we send, the client approve, we open to discussion, open to discussion with architects, contractors, engineering. We're very close to all these parts of the process. And here, again, the main goal is to provide all the service to give you the client this best service as possible. So as I mentioned, we're very close to all the technical support when it comes to contractor, developers. For in UK market, for instance, we're very close to all the warranty providers, NHBC, Premier Guarantee, just to mention one of those. We do a lot of testing. So all our products for sale, not only Europe is tested and certified, but we just not stop it there. What we do is go further into the technical aspects of the product itself, and try to bring as much information and validation to the market, to the value we add with our products. Again, and all this is just to give the best service to the client. So starting now about today's topic, here is just a simple schematics how the European climate works. As you see here, you have the building itself, usually cold outside and then warm inside, as we call it, the coolest and warm side of the building. What we have it outside, it's other factors as rain, snow. Here, just if you see locally in detail, this is usually how a Rainscreen facade scheme works. So you have the cladding, the brackets, the boards, insulation. You have there a double layer of insulation, and you have the gypsum board or custom silicate board, whatever is coming from the inside of the building. So since you have warm inside and cold outside, you need to let the vapor that comes from the inside go outside. So usually you have a membrane here, which is if it's vapor closed, you what eventually will happen is you have condensation on this point. So what we recommend is to have a breather membrane, but it's not the focus on this presentation. But this is usually where you have it here to allow whatever's coming through the warmest side to the coldest side, which is outside. And if we look more into detail, we could also add here a VCL, which is a vapor control layer. And this is today's topic. We'll be focusing on the aspects of having a VCL, the main benefits, why you should have a VCL. And here again, also this whole scheme work together, which is the ventilated facade. So achieving excellence in facade waterproofing. So Ephesus has the full envelope when it comes to facade waterproofing. When I mean envelope, we have a breather membranes, vapor control layers, EPDMs, and prefabrication technology. And EPDMs were able to do pretty much everything, customization and 3D pieces. And this is something we already discussed in other Ephesus Connect development session. And again, all this is supported by our consulting, as I mentioned in the beginning. We do not only, we're not proud to be only product providers. We provide here a whole package of service. Again, focusing on VCL. Here is just, you understand, you usually, as I mentioned on the schema, the first, when I mentioned the schema of the facade, you have the breather, the VCL, the eco facade, which is the PDM, focusing on VCL today. Here is this scheme from CWCT. So it just, you guys have an idea and the alternatives of positioning or placing the VCL. Usually is on the studs application. That's the most common we see, to the stud wall. But again, this will depend on the project requirements and specific characteristics. So here, Henrique, what are the main benefits of having a VCL?
Okay, thank you very much, João. So exactly as you were saying, we have this common application in the UK that is applying the VCL on the inside of an SFS wall. So just on the warmest side of the insulation layer. And the main reason we have it that way, as we already mentioned before as well, it is to block this flow of vapor that comes from the inside to the outside. So blocking this vapor diffusion that, of course, influences and decreases a lot the efficiency of the facade. Also, it promotes the airtightness of the facade, so it's vapor tight and airtight. So we stop this flux of air that is low, so it makes the efficiency of the facade lower. And then even in case of fire, we have this curiosity that, of course, it's sealing the envelope. It helps also preventing the spread of smoke through floors, etc. So helping dealing with the fire case in a most effective way. So this is more or less this about VCL this time.
Absolutely, and I think it is very important. Thank you for brought this up. When you mentioned regarding the air tightness and the energy efficiency of the whole building, and for those situations, we also need to be very careful how the joint is going to be sealed, because we know when you have a airflow or a cavity that is open or not properly sealed, it will again lead to the problems as we see. Here is when it comes to Ephesus portfolio or possibilities or having a VCL, we have in this case 3 possibilities, correct? And can you just give us the overview of those?
Exactly. So this is a very brief table. So to help people understanding that we have different options within the VCL portfolio. And so these options will, of course, differ from each other in several aspects and performances. And we are just here highlighting a few that we believe are maybe the most important when you're deciding which VCL to use. So, for instance, the vapor resistance or vapor resistivity, that is something that is maybe the main purpose that we're using in a VCL, okay, and that's why it's called vapor control layers. Then the tensile strength. So it's almost the robustness of the solution of the membrane itself. So it's directly related with the longevity of the membrane, with the capacity of absorbing any impact or any movements. Okay, just not to confuse with flexibility and the elasticity, but it's of course related with how robust is the material. And then we have also, of course, fire performance, because it's a very, very discussed topic nowadays, and mainly in the UK and Middle East, where we are pretty much involved. And so here we can see that we can go until the A2, up to the A2 S1D0 classification. That is the best you can get in terms of flexible membrane.
Yeah. Thank you, Enrique. So here is just a couple of problems that we see when you have a not proper install or even the lack of installation of a VCL. Most common ones are a mold growth, because when we see you have a condensation in the installation or the area is very wet, so it was starting to mold again. It comes out to the board, gypsum board, to the inside substrate. Other things as corrosion of the components, because it's wet, it's not allowing all the water vapor coming through the outside. So this is the most common things we see at site. Focusing on the fire thematics, as Enrique was mentioned, we decided to talk a little bit more deeply about our A2 VCL, which is the Vapour FR. So we're very proud of this product. I'm glad to say we're the pioneer, the first to bring this product to the market, achieving this fire reaction classification. This is, I think, one important aspect to regard this product, because it was tested as standalone, achieving this A2 S1D0 classification, but also including the whole fixing and fastening accessories. So this is something else in comparison to the standard market application. Again, our product is CE market. We have a fully certification and even additional testing when it comes to this product. So here, Enrique, it's just a simple comparison. When we see for a standard Class B VCL, we see there are Class A. When you're buying this product or getting this product, you're not only getting a fire performance, but also because of the base material composition, which is fiberglass and also aluminum. We all know aluminum is very tight, so you gain on vapor tightness or water vapor resistance, which a standard one is 336 or something, I'll say, and ours goes to almost 8,000, 7,500. Same thing for the tensile, because of the composition of the material. So it's very durable, very robust. When it comes to the membrane application, even though this product, the Vapour FR, is based by fiberglass, we see no difference or no difficulty at all when it comes to application in comparison to the polypropylene. This one is the Vapour X. So pretty much the same application. We have a couple accessories. This one specific for fixing. This will depend on the substrate where it's applied. If you see, for example, in the SFS, we used it to adjoin the F. It's a double-sided adhesive tape. Recommend to space a minimum of half a meter. So you apply every half a meter one tape of that, and then you just apply the membrane on top of it. We have a couple recommendations when it comes to the overlap. This will depend, again, the substrate or the membrane itself. For the Vapour FR, we use the same one as for the fixing, which is the DF. The minimum overlaps on the vertical side, we recommend 150 millimeters. On the horizontal side, 100 millimeters. And for the Vapex, we use a different tape, which is the adjoint GS. So quite simple, quite standard, correct, Henrique, nothing unusual as we see.
Yeah, it's the same. It's exactly the same as when we're dealing with the standard VCL. So not adding any difficulty, any different tool to handle on site. Same people that are used to apply VCLs everywhere in every project will find this the most easiest as possible because it's exactly the same.
Yeah. And one thing, we do provide a lot of site visits, site training. So
Yeah.
any additional information from the client side or anything additional you might have, we go there at site, constantly doing this. We have very specific presentations to the installers, so they find quite easy it's a very intuitive process of the application. So it's
Exactly.
pretty much a tape for fixing or temporary fixing, and then we have different variants of this tape for sealing, depending on the substrate. For instance, the interface between concrete, something like that.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, to assure the rightness or the guarantee of the application, we need to be very careful when it comes to the membrane perforation. I will say I could say it's impossible to have a membrane installed without having a perforation. This is normal for very serious of reasons. In this case, you see this pipe vents that's coming through to the wall or even a wall to the roof. It's quite normal electricity things. Same things depending on the bracket, so the membrane is perforated. So we must assure that all these points is properly sealed. In this case, you see here the VAPX. And as I mentioned, we have a specific tapes for all these perforations. We provide meta statements depending how awkward or how different it is to seal the specific points.
Exactly.
As you see here, one thing in regards to membrane perforation is we shouldn't allow that those difficult points, as you see here, should be decided at site. What Ephesus does, we pick up all the project specs as standard drawings and study in advance, okay? And we submit a document saying exactly a statement that should be used to seal these points. In this case, they're quite simple, but we have a couple situations, correct, Henrique, that it's out of standard, I would say, and we look into detail how we're going to seal this type of perforation.
Yeah, Joe. Just as you said, there are a few things. Fortunately, the majority of the cases that we'll find, we have the possibility of reviewing and studying just before the job starts, at least to give some guidelines to people on site, so they're already aware that it should happen. But sometimes you have these cables and some perforations, some elements that just show up just crossing the membrane, and these kind of cases most of the times are only able to be found because of our constant and regular presence at site. I'm familiar with these pictures because some of them were for instance, taken by me, so I know that we find, for instance, there a cable crossing the membrane, and we just understand that it was not sealed properly, or that people on site are still dealing with it, trying to decide how to manage with that issue. And so there are really simple tapes to be used. We just need to understand what's the situation, and that's one of our big advantages as a partner in the weatherproofing thematic, is that we are able to take these kind of systems and solutions very specific from the really beginning until the end when they're being installed at site.
Absolutely, Enrique. And I think what is also important to mention, because of our experience, since we constantly at site, we able to even have our own package of information of this specific points. So every time we are updating our drawings, as we see something else different, as I mentioned, that it's not quite standard. So we made it a couple of, we made it as a drawing. So later on, we have this documentations and understand how actually we're going to seal, how we're going to perform the sealing of this type of perforation.
Yeah, indeed.
Uh, Here, I think it's quite interesting to mention this type of perforation. This is a bracket perforation, quite standard. So Ephesus have a very specific tape for this situation, which is we use the tape, the Ephesus 2-on-DS. Ephesus 2-on-DS we've been largely applying in many different projects, and not only to seal bracket perforation, but for other reasons. And the important thing, or the main thing about this product is because it has sort of an encapsulated primer. So once you press it, that primer will merge that surface and create this whole sealing around the fasteners, as you see here in the picture. So you apply. This is again could depend. Some people prefer apply first on the substrate, or first on the bracket itself, and then you just screw your fastener at this point. And what happening is exactly as you see here in this relation. So it will encapsulate, it will get inside to the fastener, guaranteeing the 100% sealing of that specific point.
So we have here a question. So Henry is asking if we need any accessories for the application. So I think it's not only related with the system accessories, but also tools and the things that we have to manage the site. I can answer this one if you want. So
Yeah,
it's just so the system accessories as fixing tapes, overlapping tapes, tapes like this one we're just discussing right now, that is related to the perforation to sealing. We have, and we can study and trying to understand each project needs. We can recommend the best accessories to be used, but in almost all the cases, it will be quite easy to install accessories like self-adhesive tape. And regarding tools and things to manage the site, so just because of this fact of being just self-adhesive tapes mainly, you never need to apply it on any material, so it's cold applied every time. Sometimes you only need to apply a primer if it is a very porous surface, like an old concrete or something that is not providing a stable surface and substrate to adhere our membranes on. And so not heat, not fire, not even electricity. So you don't need anything of this. It's a really simple installation procedure. And again, when we're talking about a fire-rated system, these accessories are included on the test. So you are considering an A2 S1B0 system and not only the membrane itself.
Yeah, that's correct. And if I understand it right, when it comes to even additional tools, as you mentioned, it's no needed. Anything out of scope is studied previously. So even as I'll say as a primer, a cleaner, we're able to provide all this product. And again, it comes as a package. It was studied before the application, so no surprise when it comes to site installation. It was all seen previously before.
Yeah, just that.
So here are the main importance, I'll say, not only of having a VCL, but having a project that it's detailing. We've been discussing this a lot of time to pick up in a previous stage to understanding all the project requirements. So as I mentioned, Ephesus is able to provide the full scope of facade envelope. So this is something very interesting for any client, because we assure all the compatibilities between these materials being applied. And this is when you see in UK, we see all this work done or divided by work package. And when one problem start not performing well, you will see one provider and starting blaming on the other. So having just one single provider, one person that you have this interactive dialogue and to provide the all solutions for that project, I think is something very important. And when it comes to VCL, again, to all the benefits we mentioned, to avoid all the side problems when it comes to mold growth, corrosion of the components, assuring their tightness, the energy efficiency of the building. And all this, studying and having detailing to reduce the waste of materials, the errors of site. I always mention that when we studied in an early stage, what we're actually doing is to assuring whatever the architect or someone that planned that project, that exactly application it will be installed or applied at site. So this is why the importance of the detailing. So I think we have another question here saying, Henry, what is the durability of the tape? Do I have to change it over time? So I think he was asking about the Tubon DS. If so, so the table itself, it's very durable. You don't need to change it at all over time. As you see, once it's applied, you actually will find quite hard to remove it. Correct, Henrique?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, but it's as you're saying, João. So it's not it doesn't have a volatile component, so it's a very stable tape. It's a composition that never tries. So it's a tape that doesn't doesn't lose proper parts of its composition, so components to the atmosphere. Because we know that some of the main issues with liquid applied membranes and asphaltic membranes, PVC membranes, is that they're constantly losing properties because they're losing also parts of its composition to the atmosphere, to the surrounding ambience. And so in this case, we'll be talking about very long, very high durability, mainly when comparing with other market tapes. Yeah. And there's not the need to change it for for sure.
That is correct. So that's all for today. Thank you guys for attending this Connective Valley session. So here is my contact, my email. Feel free to send me an email, or if you have any additional question, I'll be glad to answer. If it's something more very specific, I'll be glad to forward to our consulting or technical department. I'm here to help you all. So thank you once again, Henrique.
Welcome. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.